what we've got here is a back splice, and I'm going to show you how to finish this at the end of a line with a single wall and crown knot. We've covered the back splice earlier in a different video, so I won't go over the details again. It's just a standard back splice. Starts with a crown knot, splice it down normally, and we'll just finish it with a single wall and crown, and then some whipping. And it's nice in that it makes a bulge in the rope here, and kind of makes a nice handle. So if you have a bulge here, and this part here is big enough to fit your hand, it makes for a nice handle. And actually, I use the single crown wall and crown on my splices as well. Just for example, I guess we had done a double wall and crown right up at the throat of an eye splice, and I tend to do them just not for any strength or structural reason or anything like that. Just aesthetically, I kind of like to do them myself. The knot down here, so basically just a continuous normal splicing all the way down, and then finishing with the lumpy bit right there. But to each his own. There's lots and lots of ways of doing this. Okay, so let's get started with our single wall and crown knot. So basically, each strand is going to go underneath its neighbor and wind up pointing upwards. So just pick any strand to start with. So the black one goes under its neighbor, and it's going to wind up pointing upwards. The white one then is going to go underneath its neighbor, and the red one will also come underneath its neighbor and point upwards. And just work them all up so that they're snug and evenly spaced around the circumference of the rope. And give them a little twist as you do it as well, so that the rope maintains its shape. So what we should wind up with is a little knot like this, with the ropes pointing back up against the direction of the splice. And just work each one up nice and tight and turn. And there you go. So that's the first half of it. That's a wall knot. Then from here, you can do a crown knot, which is almost the exact same thing, but instead of going under and pointing up, we're going to be going over our neighbor and pointing downwards. So we'll pick the black one to start with. Goes over its neighbor, points downwards. The next one also goes over top of its neighbor and will point downwards. And the last one goes over its neighbor and points downwards. And once again, give them a little twist as you draw them up tight. And just try to have them nice and symmetrically laid out around the rope. We'll just pull them up nice and tight, and I'll show you what we've got. Okay, so we've got our finished wall and crown knot. We've pulled it up nice and snugly. The next step will be to do a whipping. And what I do is pull each strand down so that they're laid sort of evenly around the standing part of the rope, and hold it strongly. And I'm going to start the whipping basically right at the base of the knot. And since I'm using 3/8 rope, I'll give it about a 3/8 whipping. Maybe just a hair longer, but in about the 3/8 range. And so I'll go ahead and do that, and when I'm done we'll come back and we'll show you the finished result. Okay, so here we have our finished back splice with a single wall and crown knot, finished with some whipping and with the ends trimmed. So it's a nice decorative way to end a piece of rope. Puts a nice handle on it, and from a practical standpoint as well, the wall and crown knot will prevent it from pulling through a block or a pulley. So it's actually practical as well as decorative. There you go.